Midnight knocks. True horror stories of strangers at my door. Have you ever noticed how your house feels different after midnight? It doesn't matter how big your home is, what neighborhood you live in, how safe you think you are. After midnight, everything changes. The walls feel closer. The silence feels heavier. And any sound from outside, any sound feels wrong. And it always happens the same way. You're relaxing, distracted, maybe eating something, maybe getting ready for bed, and then, knock, knock, knock. A knock at the door. If it were daytime, you'd answer. But after midnight, the world works differently. And whoever is knocking shouldn't be there. And here's the thing. Some people open the door. Some people look through the peephole. Some people just freeze. But some people discovered too late that the worst thing isn't opening the door. The worst thing is knowing that whoever is knocking already knows your name. My name is Nick, and I spend way too much time thinking about midnight knocks. True horror stories with strangers at my door. Visitors who showed up in the middle of the night, who shouldn't exist. People, or things, that call, knock, whisper, and wait for you to make humanity's oldest mistake. Opening the door. If you're someone who wants to see who's knocking after midnight, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and turn on the lights in your house, because what I'm about to tell you will make you hear things you never noticed before. The sea. Hilled outside. The first story happened to a woman named Sophia. She lived alone. Small apartment, first floor, window facing the street. Quiet place. Nothing special. It was around 12:47 a.m. when she heard the sound. 3 dull knocks at the door. Knock, knock, knock. Nothing unusual. Until she heard a child's voice. "Ma'am, open, please." But something was wrong. Sophia said the voice sounded distant. Even though it was right behind the door, it was as if it came from a very long hallway. She looked through the peephole. Nothing. Just the empty corridor, lit by the building's weak light. She held her breath. And then, the voice came back. "Ma'am, I'm alone." The problem was that the voice didn't come from the height of a child. It came from above, like it was being spoken from the wrong place on the body. Sophia stepped back, and then she heard something scratching the door. A slow, dragging, circular movement, like a hand feeling the wood. Then, "Auntie, why won't you open?" Sophia ran to the bedroom, locked the door, grabbed her phone to call the police. And while she dialed, the voice became deep. "I know you're in there." The police arrived in 8 minutes. The corridor was empty, but there were footprints on her door. Small footprints, a child's, but they were made of something that looked like ashes, fireplace ash, or burned bone dust. And the officer said, "Ma'am, you live on the first floor, but these footprints, they're at your face level." The man with no face. The second story comes from a guy named Andre. He lived with 2 roommates in a shared house. Nothing special. At 2:14 a.m., someone knocked on the front door. But not like a normal person. It was fast, urgent, like someone was knocking with both hands at once. Knock, 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 knock. Andre got out of bed thinking it was a desperate neighbor. When he reached the hallway, everything went silent. He looked through the peephole and froze. Outside was a man. But the problem was simple. He had no face. It wasn't a mask. It wasn't shadow. It wasn't pixelated blur. It was as if God had forgotten to finish designing the head. The surface was smooth, too smooth, like a blank page. But the worst part, the man seemed to be facing him. Even without a face, Andre knew the man was staring directly into the peephole. Andre stood still, holding his breath. And then, the man lifted his hand and placed it on the door. Slow, heavy, and knocked one last time. Knock. Just that. A soft knock, as if saying, "I know you're there." When the police arrived, the man was gone. But he had left a message on the door, written in something that looked like rust. Open. There were no footprints, no fingerprints. But there was one detail. The door was warm. as if someone had been leaning on it for a long time. The woman in the window. The heaviest story comes from an elderly lady named Anna. She was very religious, the kind who doesn't mess with anything spiritual. And she always said that after her husband died, she began hearing things in the house. But nothing compared to that night. She woke up to the sound of someone touching the window. Not knocking. It was like someone dragging their nails across the glass. Carer, carer, carer. Slow. Constant. She got up, walked toward the living room window, heart racing. And before she got close, she heard a soft voice, almost singing. Let me see you. She stopped in the hallway, and then she saw it. Behind the curtain, there was a face, but not a normal face. It was too pale. The eyes were black, completely black, no reflection at all. And the smile, it was far too wide. Half the face as if carved with a knife. The woman spoke again. Open. I want to watch you pray. Anna dropped to her knees, prayed the entire Lord's Prayer without breathing. When she opened her eyes, the face was gone. But there were marks on the outside of the glass. Marks as if someone had pressed their face hard against it, but the face seemed too big to be human. And on the glass, written in something no one could identify. What? I'll come back when you sleep. The last story. This is the only story Nick didn't want to tell. But I have to. It was 3:19 a.m. on a Thursday. I was writing a script, sitting in the living room. Everything silent. And then, someone knocked on my door. Knock, knock, knock. I live alone. I looked through the peephole. Nothing. And before I could step back, a voice whispered from the other side, low, dragging, like it was right next to my ear. I know you're writing about me. My whole body froze. The lights flickered, and I smelled something strong, like wet earth, mixed with iron. The voice continued, finish the video, Nick, and I'll knock again. I took a deep breath, stood there not making a sound. And then, the thing outside did something that kept me awake for days. It knocked. From inside the house. Behind me. Knocked. When I turned around, there was nothing. Nothing at all. But the living room door was open. I live alone. All these stories have one thing in common. No one knows who knocks after midnight. No one knows what wants to come inside. No one knows why they mimic voices, shapes, faces, footsteps, or why they vanish when the police arrive. But there's one rule you must remember. If someone knocks on your door after midnight, don't answer. Don't get close. Don't speak. Don't open. Never open. Because whatever is knocking, it already knows you're awake, and it knows your name. If you want more stories like this, more videos about the terror that happens when everyone else is asleep, subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and comment. Nick IV. RD at knock. I'm Nick, and I hope tonight no one knocks on your door. The end.